One of my favorite things about Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is, of course, the craziest member in the House of Representatives, is that every now and then she actually says something or comes up with something that's a good idea. The problem she has is that she is very dumb, and after she says the good idea, she explains what she actually means, which makes it a really, really horrible idea. And she did that this week when she announced on Steve Bannon's podcast that we need to get rid of all the U.S. military aid, all of these weapons and all this bullcrap that we're giving to all these countries. We got to cut that out. And if she had stopped right there, you know what? That's not that bad of an idea. Now, of course, that is painting everything in broad strokes instead of using a very, detailed, intricate, fine point pen, which is how you have to address these situations. But she was kind of on the right track until she kept talking. So let me explain this. Marge, I will read her quote in just a minute, and it's a very long one. But anyway, she was basically talking about the fact that we as a country, because she's allegedly the peace person, should not be selling all these weapons across the globe. And again, she's right about that. We should not be selling weapons to Saudi Arabia, who turns them around and kills civilians in other countries, or sells weapons to other countries that are hostile to the United States, and they then use those weapons to kill us. That's very dumb. Okay, I'm going to agree with anybody who says that that is stupid, because that's not even stupid, that's suicidal. But we do it every year. Countries that are not friendly to us and engage in massive human rights violations should not be getting U.S. weapons. Where I will disagree with Greene, however, is on the issue of an ally like Ukraine. Ukraine needs help. Ukraine was the victim. They were attacked by Russia, who was attempting to annex them. They need our help. They need our aid. They need our weapons. I do not like war. I do not want war to exist. But I can't sit here saying, no, let's close up shop and then everybody will have peace. That ain't going to happen. I would love to live in that kumbaya, everybody gets along reality, but unfortunately, that's not reality. It is, in fact, a fantasy. I live in the reality that we're in, and I understand certain very hard truths. And I think a lot of people in this country are kind of living with those pie-in-the-sky dreams. We can't not help our allies in their times of need. That's kind of what an ally is, by definition, we got to do it. Now, does that mean we need to be selling weapons all over the planet? Hell no. That needs to come to an end immediately. Does that mean we need to be spending $1 trillion a year on military? Absolutely not. You could cut that down to a quarter of what we're spending, and we'd still have everything we need. We are wasting money on this, and we are costing lives needlessly across the planet. I am not okay with that, nor will I ever be. But as I mentioned, Greene's not just talking about that stuff. Greene had to keep going and talk about other military aid that we give to countries. I'm entering an amendment that strikes $500 million for Taiwan. We give them $300 million every year in the State Department, and they just got $2 billion with a B in 2024 from the Foreign Aid Supplemental under the Biden administration. They don't need $500 million more dollars. I'm entering an amendment to strike $500 million to Jordan. Jordan doesn't need it. They get $1.6 billion every single year from the State Department, so I'm entering amendments to strike those. These are, of course, very small, vulnerable countries that will quickly be taken over if we don't do that. That's not good. She then says, but let me give you some that I think are outrageous beyond what I've already listed. $15 million for HIV prevention, education, and activities. $15 million for Africa for HIV prevention, education, and activities. That is absurd. We don't need to be doing this anymore. If people don't understand what's causing AIDS, then they're on their own. It's not that they don't know what causes it. You see, Marge, and this is again where I'm totally going to disagree with you because you're an idiot. Military aid is not just boots on the ground with guns and missiles in the air. Military aid means sending technology, means sending people to teach that technology, sending food, sending sometimes literal money to areas of the world that desperately need it, sending medicine. That's what this HIV prevention and education is. It's not going over there and saying, hey, I don't know if you guys know this, but don't have unprotected sex. Wear a condom. All right, we'll see you later. That's 15 billion. That's not what that is. That's what she thinks it is because she's got the mental capacity of a potato, except I don't think her brain can power a clock. But those things are vital. Providing assistance to areas of the world that are struggling, areas of the world where diseases develop that could then become a pandemic, that's in our national interest. That's a matter of national security. Giving these people medicine, teaching them how to prevent diseases, and also giving them farming equipment, which again, the U.S. military does. Giving them access to new crops to plant when the old crops don't seem to be working anymore. Helping build wells and irrigation systems so that the farming can continue. Because here's the thing, if we don't do that, then these areas of the world do descend into disease, which makes its way over here. They descend into chaos, which obviously impacts our interests. You know, if we have a trade relationship with them, maybe it's not going to happen because they're involved in a civil war because the people were left with nothing and they revolted against those in power. Do you see what I mean here? We can keep the peace. We can create more peace by helping our neighbors. That's what the military should be doing. And Green is out here saying, I don't understand it. We're just telling them to wear a condom. No, that is a very simplistic view from a very simpleton brain. So again, she started out with like the concepts of a not bad idea and turned it into something that would absolutely destroy the United States by continuing to explain what she meant. Welcome to the Ring of Fire YouTube channel. I am Farron Cousins, the host of Ring of Fire here on YouTube. I don't know if this is your first time here or maybe you're somebody who comes here every single day, but either way, let me tell you what's going on. Ring of Fire was actually started in the year 2004 by none other than our own America's lawyer, Mike Papantonio. And over the last 20 plus years, Ring of Fire has gone from being a 1-hour weekend radio program on Air America through a series of changes. Go Left TV, which we started back in 2007. We've been on the Young Turks network. And of course, this very YouTube channel here that started obviously as they all do with no subscribers. And we've now ballooned to well over 1 million as we go on our way to that 2 million mark. So again, if this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe. Take a few minutes, look around. We have content that actually goes back 20 years. So there's lots to see, there's lots to do. And trust me, with the next 4 years of Donald Trump getting back in office, we will be here every day, every single day with fresh content for you to keep you informed about what's happening and, of course, to warn you of the potential dangers that Donald Trump poses as we approach his second term.